Campbell on praise. The social.
All right. So, it was funny because I was just talking to Stephen about this, about how in depth the construction workshops can go and how much there is in construction. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was the thing that affects our bottom line as a company more than anything.
Hey, I'm going to stop you for a second because your screen is not being shared.
What's that?
Your screen is not being shared. It's all gray.
I wonder why. I wonder if I have to log back out and log back in because it's sharing. Let's see if I do that. Can you see it now?
No.
It's
gray and very, very small.
Let's see if we do this.
There we go.
There we go. All right. Can you see something now?
Yep.
All right.
No, it went away.
That's so weird. I'm open to suggestions here, Kat. What would make it go away?
I'm not sure. There we go. Wait. Yeah.
But that's just the actual PowerPoint. So if I hit from beginning and I pull it back up, does it go away on you again?
We can see it
now.
Let's see.
And it's gone.
All right, let's see.
Our learning experience here today is great.
Ay. All right, let's see if I can try to fix this out. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
We can see it now.
You can see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see the first slide that says construction safety?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So this recently came up last week. I was talking to a client, and we were just discussing, what affects us and what affects them and what affects them in the industry more than anything else. And, we both agreed that, it's construction safety. It's our workers' comp. It's how much we pay. Especially in New York, workers' comp is extremely expensive, and it's a direct result of making sure that everybody is safe on the work sites. I think last year there was some astronomical number of work site fatalities, which I think it was like 2,600 work site fatalities across the country. I mean, when you think about that, that's a lot of people getting killed on a job. So, I don't know if we necessarily realize how dangerous it is when we send people out to a job site and what can go wrong. So during this workshop, I just kind of want to touch on work, on site safety, on construction safety, on things that are we really taking the necessary precautions to make sure that every job site that we're sending our people out to are safe. And so, it's obviously it's a high hazard industry. We do a lot of, a lot of times what tends to happen is we get a phone call and says, we need workers, and before we even do anything, we're immediately trying to think we have, who we have and who we can send out. And I think sometimes, especially on our end, we get so excited, especially for like the larger orders, that we just start putting people together, and we're not really asking the questions that need to be asked. I have a client called New York Tent who recently called me for event setup, and without even thinking twice about it, we said, yes, we've serviced them before. We sent guys out. And I just so happened to do a job site stop by, and they're setting up risers like seats for a beach volleyball tournament. And one of our guys is like inside the riser trying to set it up, and he has no experience doing it. I mean, if one of the risers came down, it would have ended up crushing him. He would have had there was no way out for him. So, that's my fault because you just kind of assume what's happening and instead of really asking exactly what they're going to be doing on the job, whatever it may be, we get for flat roofs. We think flat roofs are okay. What kind of fall protection do they have? What are are the edge of the roof marked? Machinery, machine operators. I mean, there's just so many things that can go into this that makes me nervous and really, really want to get a thorough job order and really want to talk to the client as much as I possibly can. It brings us back to the proper, PPE and making sure that our guys have it, making sure that they understand what they need with hard hats and gloves and goggles and everything else. I mean, we are one of the few companies that at least that I found in my area that doesn't provide it for our workers, which is fine. They have their own. But there's a reason why all these other companies provide it, and that's because they've had major injuries on a job, and they've all adapted this pretty extensive safety program, something that we don't necessarily have as a spec organization, but something that we should all be focusing on internally as each individual office. Mm-hmm. It kind of brings me back to making sure that we're taking a thorough job order when somebody calls, just not assuming that they're going to be going out or that they're going to be going out to what they're telling us. If a client calls and says, yeah, I need a couple laborers to dig a hole, Jeff isn't on this call, but when Jeff used to work for a spec, he'll tell you a story about how a client called and asked him to dig a hole, and they had him searching for an electrical conduit line with a shovel. So they had him legitimately dig until he found the conduit line. If he hit the conduit line with the shovel, he would have been a goner. So it's that right there just kind of tells you the respect that the client can have for our workers at times, because they just don't really think it through as to what they're calling people to do for them. The machinery, is the machinery safe? Is it been checked out? I mean, we put them on a Bobcat or a skid steer. I mean, what does the machine look like? Has it been, has it been fully safety inspected? Have the tools been inspected? Just really, really making sure that we're having these conversations with our clients can go a long way. And they understand that we're not being picky about it, but we're just really, really trying to get as much information out of them so that we're sending out the right guy and not, just sending anybody out to do a job where they can get hurt. One of the things that we talked about as an office, we had a little gathering over the weekend, and one of the things that we asked about was, what can we do a better job as far as, different aspects, and safety kind of came up because we've had a couple of guys complain as of late that they just felt like the job site wasn't safe. So the things that we discussed as a group were, talking to the employees and finding out what they're required to use on a job site, what they're doing on a job site. We call our clients, pretty consistently, and it's really having conversations with the workers as well. Checking in with them from time to time to see what they're doing, see if everything's okay, to see if they have any issues. and me getting out and using the excuse of, just going to job sites, making sure, checking in, and they don't have to think that I'm checking in, but I can also use it as a sales technique as well. Just kind of go around, eyeball the job site. I don't know how many, we've all had job sites, I'm sure, that we've sent workers to that we've never even seen before. It gives whoever is in the office to kind of get a chance to get out and do almost like a site safety evaluation. I just went through a workers' comp audit in New York, and one of the things that they asked me were, do we have site evaluation forms for the job sites that our guys were dispatched to? And we really don't. It's something that I think I'd like to bring up and attach the site evaluation forms to each individual client's profile, so that we know that we're kind of keeping a pretty consistent follow-up on the job sites and making sure that everybody is doing an okay job and everything is safe. Heck, we looked at a couple of different pictures that I put up, and these are actual pictures from job sites. And, I mean, the first, looking at the top left, I mean, that's a guy standing on top of a lull, who we've had that happen at SPAC. That happened where they put a guy on top of it in a makeshift box, and it was one of the worst injuries that SPAC has ever had. The guy on the right is standing on top of cinder blocks on top of a scaffolding, and I blew up on that picture. But if you were to retreat, he's like 6 stories up. It's just, I mean, these are the kinds of things that, when our workers get sent out to a job, this is the kind of stuff that they're asked to do. And if they don't feel comfortable saying no or talking to us, they're going to do it. And if you have a guy or a girl who's not 100% comfortable and doesn't know that this isn't what they're supposed to be doing, I mean, this, something really, really bad can happen. And that, again, that is, leads me to saying it's always the temp that is going to be asked to do these things. I've been to job sites with past employers where I've seen guys hanging out of a 4th-story window loading materials in from a cherry picker, and they're straddling the cherry picker, and one foot's on the cherry picker and one foot's on the building. And he's a temporary employee. And that's because it's labor, it's grunt, and they just assume, I'll just get a temp to do it because the temp has workers' comp. And that's the thing is that we're always looked at as we supply workers' compensation, and if something happens, well, it's not on us, it's on, and we sometimes just don't take all the necessary precautions to make sure that everything is followed up on, because it just takes one act of not knowing, or even stupidity, really, and somebody's life could be lost. Something can, somebody gets really hurt. It's just it's not a good scenario. We misclassify the workers' comp. I mean, all of these things. We may think that they're going out to sweep a floor, and meanwhile they're cleaning windows on the outside, on top of a scaffold. It really makes it difficult to make sure that we're classifying everything properly. We have a full understanding of what's going on from job site to job site. So that's kind of where I wanted to leave off and just kind of go over it. I know that it's not one of those things that is necessarily teaching about construction, but it is definitely one of the most important things about it. I mean, there's OSHA, there is more safety and precautions taken in construction than most any other field. And it's definitely, I think sometimes we just don't realize how dangerous it is from day in and day out activities. And that's kind of really all I have for kind of going over it. Like I said, we don't have necessarily an on-site safety team or somebody that handles it, but we definitely should be taking a better look at it, especially now that we get busier into our busier season.
What do you look for when you go out? Are you wandering around the construction site and just, trying to figure it all out, or what do you do?
Yeah, so when I go out to a construction site, the first thing I'm looking for is, are they working on any type of ladders or scaffolding? What is the, like in New York, it's a little bit different because most of the buildings that we're working on are high rises. So the windows don't have, the windows aren't in. What is the, what are the precautions taken from keeping somebody away from the windows? Are they lined out? Is there a safety rope that goes around the building to keep people away from making, misstepping and falling off, off the edge of the building? I'm looking for machines. I'm looking for, are they getting into trenches and ditches? We have a lot of times people will call and say, oh, we're digging a hole for a pool. Well, these guys are digging a hole. Meanwhile, there's a excavator right next to them who's digging along with them. I mean, that's not safe. I mean, we can't have that happen. You can't have a guy working in a trench or a hole while there's a heavy piece of heavy machinery on the edge trying to dig as well. So, I mean, it's common sense. A lot of it is common sense, and it gives you a good chance to really kind of meet with the customer and go over everything and what his plans are or what their plans are for the project and really see what they have our people doing.
And hey Jay, I think, even though you said this was like about different construction in regards to safety, though, I think it's extremely important, like you said, because in regards to taking the job order, the more information we have about the actual what they're going to be doing on the job, I don't know how much it covers us, but if you send somebody out and they're supposed to be doing, like you said, the guys with the Stanford tent, they're underneath a risers, and we're not supposed to be doing that at all, and they end up getting hurt. I'm sure these are important things that can come up down the road in regards to insurance, but for us to have that information to really know, and they're signing off on what, they're saying, yeah, these guys are going to be doing this and that's not, and then they end up doing something completely different. I see why that's so important for us to have a complete WOV or a board of verification and just making sure we're taking the order and getting all the information. So I find that, so this whole presentation, that helps me to understand even more so why it's so important to have that information. And another quick thing, have you ever asked, how like I know job sites will have this, but especially warehouses and stuff, but they'll have, no incidents in the last 180 days, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Have you ever actually asked that question when you're or seen that information posted out on job sites, and if you asked, how did you ask it?
So in New York, there's a log. So in New York, each job site keeps their own log. Work site safe for 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, and they'll give you the information. It's a little bit convoluted on the, on the smaller, day job type of guys, is they don't really get harassed as much. But on the larger job sites, they're required to keep a job site log, and they're inspected by OSHA maybe once every month or once every 2 months, and OSHA will come in, and if they see something that's not safe, they will shut the job down. There was one of our clients who we serviced for a while, and then we stopped servicing them. They had 47 OSHA violations.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions for you, Jay. The site evaluation forms you were talking about, is that something that we would give our candidates, or is that something that we'd ask for from the client?
So what we would do is we would actually take them out, Carl, ourselves. Mm-hmm. Like I would take them out to a job site, and have them and do an evaluation myself.
Okay.
And then just have whoever's on site sign off on it. Because I wouldn't want to give it to the worker to fill out, and I wouldn't want to give it to the client to fill out, because the client may fill it out and be like, yeah, everything's A-okay, nothing but safety here. And, it's just something that's nice to kind of walk through. And I'm going to think about talking to somebody about making just a go-to checklist that we can take out on sites with us and just attach it into Bullhorn so that we know, okay, yeah, I was out here, everything was good. Just to give us peace of mind. Like I said, over the last, as we start to get busier, it just becomes more and more apparent. Like, you should see some of these construction sites that I walk onto, and I'm like, I cringe at some of the stuff that I see. And, meanwhile, I cringe at it, and I'm leaving a card saying, if you need any help, give me a call. And as I walked off, I'm going, God, what am I doing? Like, I gotta start thinking this stuff through a little bit more, and really trying to make sure that I'm putting people in an environment that it's a safe work environment, because I would hate to be the person that has to make that phone call or has to, inform somebody that somebody else got severely hurt on a job.
Would to do a site evaluation, would you have to have some training on that? So, just anybody going out just evaluating a site, some things one thing to one person may be, dangerous, and then it may be different to somebody else, the way they look at it. So, in regards to what OSHA would think, if they asked us and they did another, an audit, and they said, did you do site evaluations? Yeah, we did them. Well, who did them? Would it have to be somebody that was knowledgeable or had some kind of certification?
So OSHA actually supplies site evaluation check forms. New York State Insurance Fund does the same thing.
Okay.
New York State Insurance Fund has also offered to come in and teach a site safety demonstration to our workers. How many I'll be able to get in, I don't know, but even if I can get 10 to 15 workers to come in and sit in the conference room, it's something that over the last, you can download a form off of OSHA. Jimmy, you can download, even if you Google site safety form, you can kind of make your own and tailor it to what you see. Most of them are going to be, any type of fall protection, make sure that there's proper PPE on the site, make sure that there's no trip hazards, electrical wires, like frayed electric cords is one of the things that people look for.
Yeah.
The tools that our guys are using, do they have guards on them? Do they have a kill switch on them that's operational?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, if you're using their form, or at least a form that's an official form, I guess, if you will, then it means we're looking at what we need to be.
Yeah. Yep. And every site's going to be different. And I think the more that you do them, and like I said, it's a good chance to use it as a sales technique as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think the two coincide because, number one, it gives us a little bit of, they understand. If they're in construction, they understand it. They kind of gives them they understand that we know what we're talking about and we know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us a chance to ask questions, and I know that you're doing this here, and, they're a lot less resistant to us coming out on a sale. We can come out on a sales/site visit. We just want to come out, make sure that the site is going good, talk to you a little bit, make sure everybody's working safe, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be very, very receptive to it. No one's going to say, no, you can't come out here. And if they do, then obviously you're going to say, well, what's going on? You're going to really want to talk to the workers and find out what's going on the job.
Right. Well, that's good. I asked because I was on a ladder last week, and I was not OSHA approved by any means.
Right.
I was 20 feet in the air, and we had sticks and rocks underneath it so we can make sure the ladder was even. So it was very, very dangerous. So for me to go on a job site and do a site assessment, some things that look dangerous may not see them as being so dangerous. But okay, that's all. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Hey, Jay,
Yeah.
do you do that? I know they do it out here in Michigan. Do those guys out there, do they in New York, usually every morning on a construction site, they have a toolbox safety meeting?
Yep.
Okay. 'Cause I know
So
they
they
do it
do-
a lot out here too, so.
So they do it out here, and you know what else they started doing, Ed, is drug testing and alcohol testing every morning before the job.
Really?
Yep. Every morning before you're allowed on the job site, drug and
So they
alcohol
have
test.
people and they
They haven't done that. Well, they've done it out here on certain jobs if it was a prevailing wage job.
Yep. Yep. There's just too much, out there, and I don't know what the rate is, but I know in New York, I mean, the injury rate on job sites is astronomical.
You get a lot of injuries out here in the power plants.
Right. Yeah, and it's the same thing because they're in confined spaces, and
Right.
definitely, guys, go check out OSHA. Go on OSHA.com and play around with it a little bit and see. They talk about confined spaces. How dangerous trenches are. Even a 3-foot trench, if you're digging 3 feet down, how dangerous it can be if the sidewalls, come in. I mean, these are all things that you just never really think about when you're sending somebody out to work on a regular basis.
Right, yeah, a company I used to work for, before they sent anybody out, they had a safety trainer that would come in and give the 40-hour OSHA, then he'd give the refresher and all, stuff like that before they sent guys out to work.
Mhm. It's smart. I mean, it's just because, like I said, it is the biggest thing that affects your. It could be the most expensive thing that you have to pay for in the cost of doing business.
Oh, right, because a lot of companies, if you have somebody that gets killed on a job site, a lot of companies, it could just close them down.
Oh, I mean, it would close most companies down if it weren't covered by a site investigation or a site safety meeting, or if it turns out that they were doing something that was deemed unsafe by OSHA, no company would withstand it.
Right.
That's just the.
Awesome. If there's no other questions, thank you, Jay. This was a great call.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
We have access to this report, right? Okay.
Thank you. Thanks,
All
Jay.
right, guys. Have a
Thank
good
you,
day.
Jay. Thanks, Jay.